Meantime, Rune Eaters gonna grab the Bane for themselves, keeping it kind of simple there with some extra lockdown, so nothing too surprising at this point, but with the Bane, you always do need to be a little bit careful of the sort of cancel and the dive ability of that opposing squad. If your CK ends up with something like a Blink Dagger and can bypass the front line, then the Bane's got to be sort of cautious with their positioning.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Cybercats, they probably have like their two most important cores picked already. So it's kind of hard to predict at this point what they're gonna pick. But it is gonna be the Hoodwink. So they have the core and the support version of the same hero.
Bad choice there. As you just sort of laid out, the Hoodwink gives you a little bit of everything, right? Damage, lockdown, mobility, just everything that you're going to potentially need. Maybe not the most durable hero, but position 4 support, you're going to kind of live with that trade-off. In the meantime, with this choice, Wingblade, do you think that they just take something like an offlaner here to avoid the Phase 3 bans, or do they save that for their last pick?
Yeah, I think they wanna have an offlaner now. It doesn't make a lot of sense to last pick your position 5 or position 4. Even though I think having something like a Grimstroke would be really nice. Just setting up that Chaos Knight lane for success.
It'll be interesting to see what Cybercats look for in that offlane as well. They ran the DK Focus Visage a couple of times, but obviously Rune Eaters, with the data prepare, sort of did their homework and banned that out in Phase 1. So that was a hero that was responsible for, I think at this point, about half of Cybercats' wins, or maybe not directly responsible for, but was in the lineup for half of their wins at least. So gonna have to go in a different direction, and that is certainly a different direction. The Lycan pickup for them.
I'm not sure if it's a super different direction. I feel like Lycan and Visage are very similar heroes in what they want to do on the map and the way they want to play in their timings. That's a nice Bloodseeker pick though.
Right.
Deals pretty well with CK. It's okay enough in lane against Lycan, and in the mid game, just having Rupture on Lycan really does a lot of work.
I mean, that is kind of the main point of his kit, right? Pop the shapeshift and start sprinting around like a madman. So if you've got the Rupture on you when that happens, then you just get to sit there and, I don't know, howl and send your wolves in, I guess, which is not exactly the most effective strategy in the world. But that is dependent on the Bloodseeker kind of hunting that Lycan every time. But if he does, one of your cores is basically going to have to sit and wait.
Now that they picked Lycan, I'm actually not sure if I like picking an offlaner now. Because I doubt they would have banned a Lycan, because it's such an uncommon pick. And the Grimstroke does now get banned, so they don't have that opportunity anymore.
Stroke taken away. But in terms of position 5s, there's always going to be something, but that Grimstroke would have been nice. The Jakiro banned out as well. A hero that we've seen kind of popping up occasionally, a little bit more often than he used to be for sure, but don't know if he's quite reached that popular tier just yet. But Rune Eaters did not want to deal with the damage and the area control, so they banned it away. And now if you're Cybercats, well, what do they look for here, Wingblade? Is this just a matter of more control for them, or they're looking for... Actually, they probably won't need to be looking for damage from their 5, right?
Yeah, I think they probably wanna put... I was gonna say get a bit more pushing, but they get Disruptor. Oh, an instant
That
response
is
with the puck.
very quickly
This
getting
looked like
themselves back.
such a lovely puck game. There's only really the Disruptor to worry about, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, really. Looks almost free for Hayes, and Hayes in any game is scary on his puck. But in a game like this, ooh.
Especially, I don't know, you're looking at a Disruptor who if anyone touches him, he basically dies, and then heroes on the opposing side are Sand King, Bloodseeker, and Puck, who will all have very little in the way of difficulties in terms of getting onto you, so I don't know. H2O is going to have his work cut out for him here in terms of just straight up staying alive long enough to actually use his teamfight strength.
Mm-hmm. So looking at these two lineups, I would probably favor Rune Dice. But it's kind of hard to predict how the early mid game is gonna go. Because you have this huge power spike where Lycan gets his Helm of the Overlord and Lina gets her BKB. I feel like Rune Dice could struggle a lot with that. But if they take some good skirmishes and manage to pick off single heroes instead of letting the enemy get to the towers as a team, I feel like they have a very good shot at disrupting that, but it's really gonna come down to mid-game movements.
Well, shall see if they're going to be able to pull this off here as we get this one started. Worth noting at this point, as we get this one underway, Rune Eaters, well, they are the winners of 4 straight games coming into this particular matchup, so maybe a little bit of momentum on their side, a little bit of confidence as they've taken down just about everyone who sort of stood in their path over the last couple of days. But for Cybercats, obviously you can't afford to be intimidated here. You are a couple series away from having your shot at D1, so we'll see how they stack up against Rune Eaters and that momentum as we get this one underway. As a reminder, this is a best of 3 here. Winner advances to the lower bracket final to face off against Hydra later today. The loser remains in Division 2, but will be eliminated from these playoffs. No early action here, Wingblade. Nobody really looking to start something this early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too much interesting stuff to look at just yet. It is interesting to note that the Hoodwink started with a Blightstone, which is not something you see super often.
Look how far back this Ops Ward is mid. That's a little different than what we normally see. It's kind of further up on the waterline, but still gets you the vision, I suppose. Just maybe a slightly less conventional spot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a constant arms race of trying to not get de-warded. So you want to place it as far forward as you can without it getting de-warded. And sometimes that leaves you placing wards in weird places.
Like that one in the river that Kiori just took down. He actually snipes out Fezor's sentry as well, but he's going to pay for this, taking a little bit of damage, both from the Hoodwink and the Wolves, but if you're the Bane there, job done. Take away your opponent's vision, looking pretty good, and, well, this is going to be an interesting one, Wingblade, in terms of maybe how much pressure can be applied to TA2000. Obviously, Fezor is going to be annoying as hell on this Hoodwink, but how often do you think DK Focus is going to use the Wolves to harass as opposed to using them for more damage to secure last hits for himself?
I feel like his damage is gonna be fine with some points in Feral Impulse, so he's mostly just gonna be sending them onto the Bane. Because it's a lot harder for Bane to deal with Wolves than it is for Bloodseeker.
And all the while, again, as I said, Fezor just being obnoxious, throwing out the Acorn shot, and once he has a point up in the Bushwhack, Kiori is not exactly the tankiest hero, so they could look to make some plays there. But for now, just gonna kind of keep things slow and steady in terms of the pace. On the opposite side of the map, though, this is something Cloud's gonna have to be a little bit careful about. You're a Sand King against a melee core. Normally,
Ooh, Hoodwink.
to that point in a second, as Fezor is dangerously low. Able to survive for now. And actually, okay. Timely delivery there from the courier brings a salve out to him. He is going to heal up quickly, not just for his own sort of safety, but you're going against a Bloodseeker. If you're sitting on low health for a long time, you are giving him a little bit of an advantage. But to the point, before that little fight broke out, Cloud got to be careful here. That sentry game is going to be so important. Actually, Arrow was able to just de-ward that sentry there, so Normally, if you're the Sand King, you're feeling alright against a melee hero, right? You have Sandstorm, you have Caustic, and there's not too much you have to be afraid of. But if that Sentry Ward is placed, a duo of CK and Disruptor can really sort of catch you off guard and keep you from falling back long enough to maybe be threatened.
Mm-hmm. Looks like so far Igor has taken a bit of a lead in the mid lane. Lina against Puck is a very skill-based matchup and always fun to watch. With like constant baiting of phase shifts.
Play ever so slightly. Oh, I say ever so slightly. It's actually, it's not a bad lead for this point, right? 16-6. Puck sitting at 11-2. Hayes. Well, is he actually... Okay, he's going to try and steal the bounty rune. The neat play. Let's take him out of lane for a little bit of extra time, but he is going to have a bottle refill on top of... not on top of, but sort of over the Lina, whose bottle is currently empty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely worth it.
Oh, I like that one. Hayes just popping the phase shift sort of preemptively. Igor wasn't really even looking for anything, but this is the slight downside of the Puck in this lane. You are not in the least bit durable. If you do get clipped by one of those stuns just casually, you are going to take a hell of a lot of damage against this Lina. So Hayes has to be, I mean, not paranoid, but certainly cautious, as he's going to try and fight for the rune. Did manage to get it out from under Fezor.
Very nice phase shift dodge of the bushwhack.
So he is doing it just fine. Meanwhile, Shigetsu down in the bottom lane, currently leading the way in terms of the last hits, looking for a kill as well, but Chaos Bolt doesn't quite get out in time. Arrow was able to get away with the Icarus dive. Very low on HP, but will fall back. And Shigetsu, I mean, his farm, his game in general, Wingblade is going to be so important to Cybercats. They're kind of really all about Shigetsu's game. He hasn't always led them in terms of total kill count, but there has not been a game so far in this playoff that Cybercat has won where he has not had a successful game. So they kind of go the way that Shigetsu goes.
Mm-hmm. And so far, so good.
28-5, no significant pressure, feeling pretty good about it. Of course, on the other side of things, your Sand King is farming pretty well himself. So Cloud actually went for the double bracers first, but got to assume progress towards an early Blink Dagger could be coming his way. But here's going to be that jump. They did not throw the sentry down preemptively. They will put it out now, though. But that little bit of hesitation feels like they kind of lost their moment. And now H2O, you got to be careful here. He is dangerously low on HP. They have 5 seconds up for a burrow, so if they can just keep their opponents in this area, they might be able to go back in and where they want to go. That's the question. Cloud kind of drifted in between the two targets. I feel like if he had just committed onto either one of them, he might have been able to do it, but no such luck. H2O and Arrow, though, still very close to each other. No one has any significant regen here, so they're going to back away, but an interesting fight. I think if H2O gets that sentry down maybe a little bit earlier, then it looks better for Cybercats. What's going on here? Fezor? Beam coil deployed. Dory came in with the brain sap, and Hayes will finish things off with the not quite max out illusory orb, but it's still enough to get the first blood.
Definitely very nice kill for him. He was struggling a bit behind the Lina and still is kinda. If you look at the net worth and the levels.
Yeah. Not the largest gap we've ever seen, but still not a comfortable position, I suppose, if you're the Puck. But if you're Hayes, you have the Dream Coil now, so there's some potential for him to now look to actually make rotations out of the middle lane, which may be less of a luxury at this point. Wingblade, more of a... Oh my god.
Puck,
oh!
Puck. Oh!
Just a little bit of extra damage on the Bushwhack is enough to do it, as Hayes... well, just didn't quite show enough respect to the damage output there. I really think that's kind of it. He's just too far forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was already thinking about getting the bounty. Probably moved his camera. Really nicely positioned Bushwhack.
High impact play there from Fezor, and as I was saying before Hayes got taken down, him rotating to other lanes might be less of a luxury and more of a necessity, because this tier 1 tower is not in a healthy spot. 225 HP, just 7.5 minutes in, so it would not take too much more effort from Cybercats to potentially bring that down, and then without your tower, Hayes doesn't really want to stick around there long term, so we'll see if Rune Eaters put more effort into trying to bring heroes over to defend that tower the next time there's a push forward. Eventually even just sort of start that fight for themselves. And checking in on Cloud. He is 6, so you would have the epicenter. You could TP him in and look for some sort of fight. As speaking of fights, TP top, Fezor too late. Save his teammate. TA2K is able to find the kill as DK Focus goes down, and is an unfortunate setback from your Lycan. He had sort of hit level 6 just a little while back, but Rupture kind of prevents him from really doing anything with it, as Jaeger finds the kill onto Kaori. Just a Bane trying to rotate for vision, gets hit by the Laguna, and tied back up at 2-2. Maybe we won't be for long. H2O, this is not a great place for him. Hayes is coming in. Obviously doesn't want to have to use the Dream Coil here, and probably won't have to. Yeah. Able to just get in with the Orb into the Waning Rift combo, and they find themselves the kill. Two and one start for your Puck. Hayes has a DD rune bottled up, and as we were just pointing out, did not have to use the Dream Coil there, so good look to make some sort of play. The question at this point, Wingblade, where can he really go? Top kind of seems like the only option where there's an actual gankable hero, because the CK's already fallen back into the jungle down bot.
Yeah, I don't think there is a lot of pressure on him to really rotate. It's fine if he just gets some farm, make sure that the towers don't fall, because both of his side laners are having a pretty good time, so there isn't a lot of pressure on him.
Spotted the Bloodseeker. Gonna try to hit him up here. Bushwhack will connect. The Rupture was down onto Fezor, but it's the Lycan he had to be worried about. DK Focus comes in from the north, and that is a big kill for them, taking down the Bloodseeker. The problem is Hayes is going to come in looking for a little bit of revenge, and with the DD rune, he should be able to get at least one. H2O will fall, and Hayes, probably not worth chasing for much more than that. He got his free kill. He's back to the tier 1 tower, continuing to defend it as it did get shipped down a little bit further, but it's not dead yet. Still holding out on that tier 1, and now Cloud TP's in, Blink Dagger ready, Epicenter up. They smoke for the play, and we'll see what they can find, but up top, there's actually another fight being taken. They're going to body block the Lycan in the tree line. DK Focus trying to get himself away, as Fezor and Igor will both go down mid. It is a clean 3 kills across the map there for Rune Eaters off of those dual rotations.
Yeah, not bad there. And they killed the Lycan without Supernova, without Grip, without Rupture. Not sure how they managed, but they did.
Quick series of kills for them. Hayes, meanwhile, in the middle lane is in a little bit of trouble there, as he's going to get caught in the Static Storm. Do they have the damage for this? Kaori's going to try to come in to help. Defensive Nightmare will be deployed momentarily. Bean's Grip now onto CK as well, and Hayes is going to be able to get himself away. But that does mean the Bane is almost certainly dead here. But at this point, he did his job. He gets Hayes out of there. That's the most important part of that play.
Yeah, really well played by him, saving his mid laner.
Ooh. Nicely timed on the deny as well, so they're not going to give up quite as much gold. An arrow, able to Icarus dive himself away, but now Wingblade with that tier 1 dead, Cybercats have freed up a little bit of space. You see them immediately try to take advantage of it. They're pushing into that north side jungle, and if Jaeger finds a fight, great. If he doesn't, then he's just going to steal some farm here, and either way, it's a benefit for the team.
Yeah, it's definitely time for TA2K to move into the triangle. He almost has his Maelstrom, so he's gonna be just fine.
Oh yeah, he is incredibly close to it, as bottom lane, Cloud was able to grab a tower for himself, and that's just kind of the way this lane's going to go. The CK checked out of bot quite a long time ago, so Siege Creep comes up, they find the kill, now Cloud will TP himself top. No epi for 12 seconds, though. But he's going to try for it anyway. They go in with the Burrow Strike. Here comes Hayes and Arrow trying to get the play to DK Focus. They'll silence him up. They drop the Dream Coil. The Lycan can't go anywhere. Hayes is going to be able to find the kill. Fezor just gave away his position. He needs to try and TP out, and will make it. There was a Burrow, but Without the blink, Cloud didn't think he had the distance.
Ace, from struggling a little bit in the lane to being like one of the scariest heroes on the map. He was leading in net worth for a little bit, finished his Witchblade now, which is a very respectable timing.
6-1 on that puck, so he's really sort of kicked it into high gear here for Rune Eaters. At this point, he is probably a little cooldown dependent still, 30 seconds out from the coil being back up, but he can be the tempo setter here for Rune Eaters. That is going to be incredible for them, and he doesn't have to be the only one, right? That Sand King got the Blink Dagger, and oh, he's thinking about it. Not really sure if he sees where DK Focus is, though, so probably not the greatest of plays, but there is a play in the river. Kaori gets the Fiend's Grip down onto Fezor, and they're able to blow him up at the same time. Cloud did go in, blinks in with the Epi, so they get onto H2O. The static even got thrown down there, which is unfortunate for your Disruptor. Did not do any good, set on cooldown for about a minute and a half, and I mean, obviously self-preservation instinct kicks in, but maybe you sort of wish that the Disruptor hadn't thrown the ult out there in the end.
And at the same time, TA2K just catching up in the jungle. She's still a bit behind Shigetsu on the CK. Of course, Chaos Knight farms surprisingly fast with Phantasm and Armlet, just popping it on cooldown.
Both kind of looking to that same next major item, looking for those BKBs. Speaking of BKBs, got one picked up on your Lina, so your Cybercats, I mean, it's not going to solve all of your problems, those BKBs, but certainly prevents a lot of Rune Eater's teamfight from just kind of knocking you out of an engagement right away.
Ooh, and DK Fogas not going for Helm of the Overlord. He's gonna be going for the Wraith Pact.
It's an interesting switch up, but well, we've seen how valuable Wraith Pact has become recently, so I suppose if you were to skip over the Helm for anything, that would sort of be it. Although now he needs to make sure he doesn't actually get picked off here. I think they just saw the courier. Yeah, they're going to jump in. There's going to be that Dream Coil. Fiori actually doesn't have the Fiend's Grip for a bit, so I'm not sure they can really do this. DK Focus is just going to run away. He does have to use his Shapeshift for that, so that's on cooldown, but he will live. But now they know he can't TP top, so they are going to look to rush reinforcements over here because Cloud's in some trouble. Arrow actually gets taken down in the middle of that Supernova as well, but they're looking to turn the fight. They get onto Igor. Hayes is going to be able to find the first kill. Shigetsu, though, is just trading out underneath that tier 1, but now with TA2K coming in, the CK's in some trouble. He got hit by the Rupture, so he has to stand his ground. Not going to be able to toggle the armlet. TA2000 will win that fight. I say he'll win it. Hayes is the one who found the kill, but either way, Rune Eaters making the most of a bad situation there, I suppose. They still lose the tower and they still lose some heroes, but they take just as many kills going the other way.
Yeah, and that was the 9-second BKB from Lina as well, just instantly wasted.
And now Hayes has actually just straight up taken that top slot here with that triple kill in the fight. He's up to 10-1 now, so I don't know. I mean, Wingblade, if you're Cybercats, in theory, you know how to stop the puck, right? You've got the lockdown, you've got the static storm. The problem is, in theory, doesn't do you a lot of good if you don't actually execute the play. They have not been able to lock down Hayes really at all to this point in the game, but they can certainly lock down Kaori. That's going to be an easy one. Ooh, Cloud. Unfortunate timing there. Whiffing on the Epi. Now he's going to glimpse back. He does have his own Yules, but actually, okay. Don't use the Yules, use the Burrow instead. Meanwhile, that's just greedy from Hayes. Tried to get H2O there. He was hoping for a quick snipe out, and he very nearly got it, but the problem is, even if he does find that kill, you're still stuck in the same situation. So the best case scenario there was one kill onto a Disruptor. Instead, he gets picked off, gives up that big kill streak, and now Cybercats are into the Roche pit.
Yeah, that is brutal. Just one cookie play and you lose. You give 1,000 gold to a Lina and an Aegis. That's not ideal.
Like I was sort of saying there, like, what's the potential payoff? You kill H2O on the Disruptor, that's That's a kill, but it's not a very valuable one. Certainly not worth, as you mentioned, 1,000 gold into your Lena's hands. So I don't know. If you're Hayes, you know that was your one, right? Everybody gets to make sort of that one mistake for free, but you can't afford to go down too many more times considering his value. His teammates, though, to be insanely careful. There is a rotation towards the top lane that is looking for a target. Cloud and Kaori are going to get spotted by a wolf here, so they clear out of the area because they don't really have reinforcements coming. I don't think this is a fight they can take, and yeah, they think the same thing. They're going to TP themselves away.
Let's see where they go now. It's kind of hard to go on Lina, and that lineup doesn't push particularly fast either. So I feel like they may just lose their tier 2 top for free.
Time. Multiple TPs coming mid, and Kaori's just kind of walking in an awkward spot here. H2O is going to drop the Static Storm on top of him. Should be an easy kill for them to pick up. Cloud's going to try to make it difficult, though, but even without the Lina involved, Fezor is able to get the snipe with the sharpshooter, so find the pick-off. DK Fogus, meanwhile, was I think kind of thinking that fight was going to turn into something a little bit more. He comes in on the back end with his shapeshift, but wasn't really able to find anything. But as you were alluding to before, Wingblade, now they sort of turn their attention back up top, and this doesn't feel like a scenario where Rune Eaters really want to commit for a fight around their tier 2. Arrow's here, but Phoenix obviously can't do this alone.
Yeah, it's level 1 egg as well. It's gonna die so fast. Now he gets spotted. Bushwhack is just gonna miss.
Haze, okay. Firing a bit of a warning shot there as Igor loses about half his HP. And TP's back to base. That's an interesting one. So he has no way to immediately rejoin his teammates here. Unfortunately for Rune Eaters, I don't think they realized that the Lina had left. If they did know, maybe they would consider bringing heroes over. But they just don't have that information. Cybercats are looking for a potential smoke play. A couple of heroes smoked up, looking for it, but without the bushwhack there, they're not going to be able to do much. Although, okay, they get Kaori. They glimpse him back into the Static Storm. Haze, meanwhile, looking for some revenge. Is this enough DOT? No, it is not. H2O will survive for really the second time here. Does have to be a little bit careful because he's low on HP, but TA2000, he's not really looking for kills. He's just farming up right now. But to his credit, Wingblade, he's farming incredibly well.
Yep. This is what tier 2K is good at. Just not being too noticeable. And then coming out of the jungle with a lot of slots filled.
Your Cybercats, as of right now, Wingblade, do you feel like they're in a position where going and hunting for TA2000 is sort of worth the resources?
Who is gonna hunt him though? It's not really what the lineup is good at. You have the Lina with the Shadow Blade, which is gonna help a little bit, but like no one else has the capability to.
Or he's pushing his way forward. Gotta be careful because he's gonna walk by some sentries relatively soon, but there's the jump. TA2000 gonna get hit up. The bushwhack's there as well. He doesn't get the chance to pop the BKB. Well,
There they go.
now they're gonna get the Bane as well, and well, hunting for the Bloodseeker is a little bit easier when the Bloodseeker kind of comes to you, basically. So, quick and easy for the Lina, who is turning into a problem. Highest net worth in the game. Looking like the... I'm not sure what order he wants to go in here. Looks like he's going to stop for the Lincolns first before getting the upgrade into the full Silver Edge. So, this is the thing about the Lina, right? You've got a BKB, but as we saw in one of those previous fights, it's not always enough to keep you entirely safe. So the Lincolns, as a sort of extra insurance, certainly be useful. As Haze able to dodge the first bit of lockdown. That means he can't dodge the second. That's a lot of hate onto the puck, but they blow him up quickly.
Yeah, without user BKB, Puck is still vulnerable if he messes up. Luckily, no Roche to be taken, only a tier 2, and I don't think Cybercats is gonna be able to do any pushing when we're playing against the Phoenix, Bloodseeker, Sand King.
There's going to be a slight issue for them, the ability, or inability rather, to maybe take objectives off the back of some of these pickoffs, but Shigetsu's at least able to get into that opposing jungle, steals a little bit of farm, and he is starting to work his way towards a little bit of damage here as well. Orchid into a presumable Bloodthorn upgrade is going to make him hit pretty damn hard. In the meantime, though, good Rune Eaters to push their way into the top lane. They spot H2O, and that's not the best of timings there, as the burrow doesn't really connect, but they'll still find the kill. Jaeger, though, is trying to fight. Eul Scepter defensively out from the Sand King, and now they actually drop the Rupture onto the Lina. They would love to continue chasing this. TA2000 trying to get in. They want to go onto the CK first, but Shigetsu will not fall. They didn't actually get the Supernova off. It was taken down first. This fight is getting overly complicated. Cloud has to go back in on a suicide mission to actually finish the Lina. I suppose you do get that kill, but costs you just a little bit more, and Wingblade at this point, I don't think a single supernova is actually completed here. It's been taken down in the egg form every time.
Yeah, and Haze wasn't close enough to capitalize with something like a Dream Coil Waning Rift either.
At least, I don't know, if you're Rune Eaters, you do still get a kill or two there, so you don't come away empty-handed, but the execution teamfight-wise, it's got to sort of take a tick up for them in the near future. But at least, I would say the longer this game goes on, the more involved TA2000 is going to be in these fights. He's working his way towards a Scotty, so if he can pick that up, then that is going to do them a lot of good in terms of maybe trying to keep some of those opposing cores from outmaneuvering them. Still a ways to go.
Cloud almost has his BKB, which is going to be quite nice for the Sand King. Even though he's still going to be quite vulnerable to just being stunned and then taken down in a single stun. Because this Lina is starting to hit really hard. And of course, blowing people up is kind of what CK does. So Shiva's afterwards is going to be quite nice. If he can get to that point. Speaking about RMI, Lycan finishing an AC now. So both of his other cores are gonna be hitting just that little bit harder and faster.
Yeah, DK Focus really just looking at the moment like he's going for the sort of the full utility build. You see the drums sort of queued up for him afterwards, so I mean, it really feels like he can afford to do this. The CK and the Lina are going to provide plenty of damage, so when you're in shapeshift form, you're going to hit harder. Other than that, I don't think he feels the need to itemize for direct damage, especially if these items help his team just outlast their opponents. Mentioned earlier, we have not seen a supernova go off. Part of the reason why is because Cybercats are not nearly as afraid of that sort of DOT coming out against them. They can just push in and kill the egg.
Yeah, DK Focus is just the aura boy. I feel like he can just auto-follow something like his CK and get everyone coffee.
Is this... They grouped up for something here? They don't have a smoke, but this is part of the reason why they're not going for that immediate smoke. These wolves just continue to sort of follow them around, scout them out, so that is an unfortunate sort of thing that Rune Eaters have to constantly deal with. This is a lineup that, based on their personnel, would sort of love to get aggressive and go looking for those plays, and they have to be sort of careful because they smoke on top of a wolf, the whole play just gets blown up immediately.
Yeah, they need a gem. It's just too annoying to deal with.
Wolf dies just as the smoke is being delivered out to Kaori, so there we go. Put down some sentries, make sure they're clear, and then we'll see if they sort of make a move. But at this point, you do need to wait maybe an extra couple of seconds because that point booster is on its way and the Scotty has been completed. So TA2000 in that little bit stronger. Over on the other side, though, the Lina got the Lincoln Sphere picked up, so Rune Eaters aren't aware of this. They try to push onto Igor. They could blow a lot of their sort of very critical lockdown getting through that Lincoln's in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
See the move. 5-man smoke. In their way through the river. They're going to look for the wraparound up the ramp. The problem is they're going to pop before they get into position. And, oh, Igor pops that Shadow Blade. But they do still push in. They're onto Shigetsu here. I don't know if there's enough damage to do this with what they've got at the moment. But they are going to try to filter their way in. H2O will be dropped down.
Nice
the Supernova.
acquisition.
Is it actually going to hit? Yes, it is. They've got the CK sort of locked down. The Dream Coil is deployed. They get the kill. Shigetsu's down. Cloud might go down in exchange. No,
Oh,
the Nightmare's going to dodge out
save.
the Laguna. Now they get the Fiend's Grip. They've caught Igor out. They need to be able to get damage onto him, though. They haven't really been able to focus their fire. TA2000 instead is actually getting stunned up here, caught inside. The Wraith Pact even reducing his damage. They are now forced to fall back, but Fezor doesn't want to let them go. There's going to be the Bushwhack into the LSA. They connect. Cloud gets taken down. Igor gets the double kill. Hayes, meanwhile, well, he tracks down that Disruptor who dies for the second time in the engagement. But now if you're Hayes, you have extremely limited backup here. I don't know if he really does want to go back in. Arrow is trying to run some
So
interference.
cocky. I love it.
Oh, man. They do get the
He's
kill.
getting away with it too.
This should not be a play that he actually gets away with, but Hayes is just too good, running circles around the opposing team.
He even went for like the attack after the phase shift before using his jaunt. That could have gone so wrong, but he gets away with it and they get the kill because of it. But still, pretty decent fight for Cybercats. If you look at the fight recap, it's actually almost completely even in terms of both gold and XP.
I mean, what, half of their deaths were H2O sort of going down twice, which, I mean, that sucks for him personally, but it's the lowest net worth hero in the game using his buyback, so those deaths are not a massive setback for the team, for sure.
Yeah, true.
But now if you're Rune Eaters, is this a position that they can potentially capitalize on is the question. They do need to wait for those sort of big ults to come back online, but 10 seconds out from Nova, we're 15 seconds out from Fiend's Grip, so it feels like they could just group up and sort of go again. Roshan, though, has actually respawned. It is back up and running, so that is an objective really that neither side can afford to entirely ignore right now.
Mm-hmm. You ready for 3 minutes of Roche stalemates?
Is the fun part of the game. Meanwhile, Igor, nice pick up there. Silver Edge online, so if he is able to get in onto that target first, they could just blow someone up, and they are going to look for it. A 5-man smoke, but it's a smoke that's not actually pushing at the moment. I'm really looking to cross the river right now, so this smoke is kind of just going to dissipate without really being used, but hold on. He's speaking too soon. H2O, thinking about it. Maxed out Glimpse as well, so the cast range is pretty impressive, but not going to be able to get the play. Cloud, you are making me nervous. don't like when they hold it that long, but, well, I don't know. That's a
The
play.
change of epicenter from channeling to cast point was so huge. It just makes Sand King so much more fun to play.
Yeah, that was always just so brutal on your Sand King, right? As you said, when it was a channel, if you were going to go for it, you had to go for it. And if you messed up at any point, you just have to sit there until your cooldown's back up. It was just terrible, so change made Sand King actually playable. The kit makes him popular, and, well, now it leads to players constantly faking out Epicenter and raising my heart rate. But I'll take that trade-off versus Sand King just not being picked because he sucked.
I feel like Sand King is one of the most generic offlaners though, together with Centaur. It's like they
Okay.
just have a stun and then a big team fight ulti.
Yeah, Centaur in particular is just the most unbelievably basic offlaner. You're basically just a creep with more health, but you called it, Wingblade. 3-minute stalemate around the pit here. But it looks like Cybercats are going to go for it after all. They push into the pit, down to half HP already. Where is the move from Rune Eaters? They're going to need to go in relatively soon, or maybe not. Igor backs out of the pit. They're going to try to get the Bane down as quickly as they can. Static Storm's a little off the mark. It still finds a kill, but that Supernova, what is that? That's just too far forward. Arrow's going to get taken down, but Cloud saw his opportunity, blinked in, got the Epi. H2O and DK Focus both taken down. The Lina will be falling as well as Igor dies. CK sort of stuck on the wrong side of this fight. He's looking for Kaori there on the backline, but even if he gets that kill, it's the pit where they need to have their attention focused. They will not do so. The Aegis goes into TA2000's hands, and now your CK is stuck in this fight. He has a TP, but he's not going to get the chance to use it. He is a very tanky boy, though, and he is going to be able to win that first engagement on to the Bloodseeker. The problem is, he still has no way out. They will lock him down. They find the kill, and now Fezor, run. TA2K is right on his heels, going to be able to TP out in time. But Cybercats, rough fight. And Arrow, I thought the positioning was bad. It was actually a bait.
Yeah, let's call it a bait.
Yeah, well, we're being generous, but
that is the nice thing about playing position 4, right? You can do some stupid plays and you can say, well, it set my team up to be in a good position. And it's probably gonna be true.
yeah, that's a good point. At first, I don't think it was a bait. Cloud sort of forcibly translated it into a bait with that Blink Burrow and the Epicenter, so Arrow gets kind of bailed out by his teammate there, but still, if you're Rune Eaters, all's well that ends well. You push up to a 7k net worth lead, and the question is, how much more of this map can they sort of push off the back of this? Tier 1 tower top, looking like an objective that they can reasonably take. Last Fezor really has something crazy in his back pocket here, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, so Rune Eaters looking good, and at this point, they may have this lead Wingblade, but it still feels like Cybercats, they still know how they want to take these fights, and they're still capable of taking those fights. It might be a situation where they just regroup and sort of look to try again with better execution.
Yeah, they can definitely still win fights, especially because Bloodseeker did lose his Aegis instantly. I feel like 2 Bloodseekers would be very difficult to deal with. And speaking about difficult to deal with, he is going to be finishing his Basher. So now he can just blink on top of someone and just start hitting them and slow them through BKB and bash them too. So there is no escape from this Bloodseeker.
I feel like Selena could sort of be in a very awkward position if the Bloodseeker gets on top of you, because now everything that you have built is something that the Bloodseeker can ignore. Your BKB is not as relevant, the Lincoln Sphere obviously not either, and even the Satanic that he's building up, if the bashes really sort of keep him locked down, then you're not going to get the lifesteal to save yourself, so at this point, if you're the Lina, it's kind of too late to change up this build. You're still looking for it, but you need to be so hyper-aware of where TA2000 is at all times.
Yeah, it's so hard to play Lina here. Because your BKB is so short and afterwards you're instantly gonna die, but even during your BKB, you have to be really careful.
Under Shigetsu, they'll hit him up with the Rupture. He's gonna try to just TP home. Do they have the cancel? Yes, they do. Dream Coil deployed. H2O falls first. Shigetsu gets taken down, and Rune Eaters starting to feel more and more confident. And I said before, you know, if you're Cybercats, you still know how you want to approach those fights, but if you're the ones sort of on the back foot, getting ambushed in your own triangle, you can throw all that out the window. They still can't defend themselves in a 2v5.
Fuck. Now with level 25, so the Dream Coil is gonna be piercing BKB, but he also has the Psychic Headband, which means that you can coil someone on the edge and then instantly push them out. Such a nice little combo.
That's just not fair. Meanwhile, Igor? Fine. Cloud just doesn't quite have the angle there, so your Lina gonna be able to TP away. DK Focus leaving the area as well, but now we're sort of at this point in the game, right? 36 minutes in, Cybercats are looking to sort of get a little bit of the split game going for themselves to buy time.
DK Focus did finish his BKB.
Is that a...
That's a dead H2O. Ooh,
Okay, we'll find the
Focus
first kill.
found
Oh,
a
wow.
trouble, too.
Yeah. They hit him up with the Rupture. There's going to be the Supernova even in DK Focus. You can't run to the egg because you got the Rupture on you. So he just has to sit and wait for death. His BKB was even active. That just sucks for him. Nothing he can do in that situation other than just stand there and take his hands off the keyboard as DK Focus gets taken down. Now Fezor might get tracked as well. But he is going to be able to run through the tree line. He'll make it away at least.
Doesn't look like Rune is in too much of a rush. They're just chilling for now.
Okay. Gonna try and get a quick kill here onto Kaori, but they find that kill. But now Cloud's into the fight. He's gonna channel out the Epicenter. TA2000 coming in as well to get a bash down onto the Lina, but they don't have the vision. Now the Static Storm actually catches out the Phoenix. Arrow's just going to get taken down on the backline, but they really do want this Bloodseeker. Can they do it, though? With Haze coming in, this fight gets very awkward. Igor can't afford to chase because he's hit by the Rupture, but Cloud actually rejoining the fight. Going to be able to take down that Lina, so now your Chaos Knight is really fighting by himself. Shigetsu bashed to hell, taken down. H2O now stunned by the Burrow. That is not going to end up being worth the 2 support kills. Obviously, they didn't know the fight was going to get that big when they started, but the ability for Rune to just rush reinforcements in their Wingblade was massive.
I really love the way that the cores are split for Rune. They're just constantly dancing back and forth, using their superior mobility to take the exact engagements that they want to take. Like Cloud just jumps in, realizes, hey, they put BKB, so this is not the time. Just walks away, chases Hoodwink for a moment. Then Bloodseeker goes in, and then
they just got Dream Coil down as well. They actually snapped it onto Focus. And, oh, he tried for the Shapeshift. He is going to get it, but he's locked down by the Fiend's Grip. Kaori, though, very nearly dies to the tower. And, boys, this is not looking fantastic. This might be an overextension here. TA2K taken down. Cloud is going to look to TP away, and he makes it out of there, but, Wingblade, maybe they just should have taken the tier 3 tower and gotten out when they had the chance. A little too greedy.
That sounds like a decent idea. I think maybe next time.
I mean, if you're Cloud, that's the same play you've been making all game long, right? So I guess you can't really be too harsh on him for trying it. It's just, at that point, you're basically diving tier 4s and didn't really have any sort of exit strategy.
True. CK now finishing his Satanic. Very nice pickup for him. I still don't think he can really man-fight the Bloodseeker though. Because his illusions just died too fast. They need to somehow like catch him off guard. Because Bloodseeker is killable, but not when he pops BKB.
They're at least able to take a couple of tier 2 towers, so objectives coming into focus for them, and honestly that becomes a little bit more important and impressive for Cybercats, considering, as we were pointing out before, their tier 3 mid took very little damage because of that dive. So start evening out some of this these objective counts, then a fair bit of the gold is going to sort of come back into Cybercats' hands. Obviously not 15K's worth, but enough for them to maybe get that next major item that's going to help them out in the upcoming engagement. Speaking of which, how long till Roche? 1 minute on that timer. So if you're Cybercats, if you find some sort of pickoff here, great. If you don't, you can still set up on this high ground. They're taking some farm, they're establishing vision, and when Roche does come back up, you're going to force Rune just to basically run through just a gauntlet of vision and potential gank opportunities. But Rune Eaters, they don't want to wait. They don't want to give their opponents the chance to set up. Instead, they make the move. They jump in onto the Lina. Igor is in some serious trouble. The Supernova's channeling out. They actually get their Fiend's Grip canceled, but there's the bashes. Igor's going to get locked down. They did finish off the egg, but with the Lina still this low, she's going to get taken down, but now they need to shift their focus. Shigetsu is still doing a lot of damage on that backline, but they're a little bit too spread out. TA2000 will now rejoin the fight, getting it onto DK Focus. They'll take him out, but they want even more. Tracking H2O now, looking for the Disruptor. The Glimpse play is not going to matter. They find the kill before the Glimpse pullback. And I said they needed to sort of worry about Shigetsu on the backline, but Shigetsu takes that opportunity to TP out while the focus was on his teammates. So the good news is he lives. The bad news is he can't defend this by himself. And this time, Wingblade Rune Eaters are not going to get too greedy. They will simply take the objective.
And Lina doesn't have buyback. This is definitely gonna be 3 Rex and Roche afterwards if they want to. They
They're
could
not.
go for Tier 4s as well though.
They are.
Recognize it now. Lina hasn't bought back yet.
2 buybacks, H2O and Fogus. At this point, if you're Rune Eaters, you still haven't seen the Lina buy back. They could maybe guess that she doesn't have it, but... well, 2 buybacks. Now we can just sort of back off and take Roshan. Of course, there we go. They do have to actually check. I don't think they knew it was back up at the time, but now they do, and they will push their way in, and Cybercats... I mean, technically you could try to contest it, but it would be nearly suicide to try. Aegis Cheese and a Refresher Shard, all available.
They could give the Refresher to Phoenix, but he dies every time, so it doesn't do much.
Yeah. It would be nice, right? It's up a
Relic.
Supernova.
Puck is almost 6-slotted, just needs to upgrade his Witchblade. And potentially switch out his gem, but I think the gem is pretty important.
So, 22k lead, Aegis Cheese and Refresher Shard all available. At this point, if you're Rune Eaters, really all you're looking for is... well, the initiation, or the opening. Of course, while they wait, they could probably do to maybe push out these side lanes a bit, and yeah, Hayes is doing exactly that, because they're still tier 2s, both top and bot, so if they're looking for racks instead of just a tier 4 push to end the game, you do have to get through those objectives first, so Hayes is going to handle that. TA2000 in the meantime continues to farm. He's looking pretty good here. Got the shard, got the level 25 talent, so he's got 2 ruptures to work with, and I mean, as long as that Lincoln's is popped on the Lina first, if you can rupture up maybe the Lina and someone like the Lycan, then the fight for Cybercats just kind of stalls out. Shigetsu will be the only one capable of any actual movement. Wait, what was that? That was an Axe picked up by H2O, so... okay. Have the mute added now. That is going to be dependent on H2O getting a good Static Storm down, but now if he does manage to place it, Rune Eaters might get sort of caught by surprise, but now he has to sort of keep it hidden for as long as he can.
It's so hard to get it off though, the cast range is still quite small. And he doesn't have any mobility items.
He broke it. Kyori popped the smoke, but they're still in onto the Sand King, but the Aeon Disc is going to save him. Now look at the jump arrow into the middle of the fight. Doesn't want to pop the Supernova just yet. They're looking to get onto Igor as quickly as they can, but well, they need more damage. Cloud is going to come in. There's the Epicenter. Wanted to wait for the BKB to wear away. Igor and H2O both going to get taken down. Shigetsu now in some trouble as well. Pulled back into the fight, finished off, and Cybercats are in some serious trouble here. They get a buyback out from their Lina now, but they are still low on manpower as the Dream Coil going to get applied to Fezor. There's going to be the Burrow Strike into the Blood Rite, and Fezor will be taken down as Hayes gets in with the E-Blade to finish the job. So, Cybercats...
0 buybacks.
yeah, they are really out of resources. It's going to be down to DK Focus and Lina to pull off some sort of miracle. Laguna's back up in 5, so maybe they can kill one hero, but is one kill going to be enough to stop this? At this point, they could just get Mega'd right now. They are going to make the move, though, but even if they kill off TA2K, he's the one with the Aegis, and Igor doesn't have his BKB for 20. They're just going to run him down, getting directly on top of him. And Hayes actually sort of delays that a little bit by using the E-Blade, but it's going to get the job done. They find the kill. Lina dies back. Cybercats... well, technically speaking, Wingblade, they haven't called it yet, but this one is just about done. I don't think they can buy even remotely close to enough time for their respawns.
Yeah, it looks like that's just gonna be it.
Okay, Focus.
I don't think DK Focus can defend this 1v4.
Go for it. Just go for it. I mean, the Ancient's going down. You might as well try something. Or not. There's going to be the GG instead. Might be able to clean him up one last time before the end, but it won't matter. Rune Eaters going to get the win here. They take game 1. They look pretty good. 5th straight victory now with this Game 1 win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two things stood out to me for this game. The first one is I feel like the disruptor was a little bit weird. If you want to go for like pickoffs or some mid-game Dota plan, I don't think you want to have a Lycan as an offlaner. I think you want to have another hero that can actually get kills. Because CK, Lina, Hoodwink, Disruptor, they're all like, yeah, we're gonna hit this mid-game timing with some BKBs, get some pickoffs, and go high ground. And Lycan is like, okay, let's group up at 20 minutes and go high ground no matter what. And just those two game plans don't really gel with each other that well. And then the second thing, stop giving Hayes puck. Jeez, it's not
Uh,
that difficult. Just go to puck with your mouse, click him, and then press ban. I don't see the issue.
yeah, and I mean, like, sure, Hayes can play other heroes, right? But at this point, anything other than the puck is going to give you probably a better chance of actually beating Rune Eaters, because he's just too strong on this hero. 18, 4, and 17, the final tally. I think maybe Cybercats were leaning a little bit too heavily on thinking, okay, Igor's Lina can maybe win that lane and then we won't have to worry about it. That just, you can't ever think that you're not going to have to worry about Hayes, right?
Mm-hmm. A lot of credit to the Sand King too, though. He actually had more GPM and did similar amounts of damage.
Wow, yeah.
It was just a really nicely balanced performance from all of Rune Eater's players. I feel like that's a thing about Rune Eaters anyway. Like, they don't really have like super set roles for their cores. Of course, you have like offlane, carry, mid, whatever. But if you look at the positions, they like all play position 2. They have a position 4, they have a position 5, and then they have 3 position 2s who like split the farm evenly. It's really nice to watch.
Yeah, very balanced attack for them, and it's part of the reason why you always have to be careful. Any one of their cores can sort of break out and carry a game. So, impressive stuff from Rune Eaters. As we mentioned, they've now won 5 straight games, but they would like to make it 6. They take the 1-0 lead in this series. They're now one more win away from advancing into that lower bracket final to play up against Hydra. So, they're going to be looking to keep the ball rolling here. Cybercats, meanwhile, going to need to try and stop that momentum and keep themselves alive in this series. So we'll be heading into game 2 in about 10 to 15 minutes here, so stick around. Blade and I will get right back with that second match.